Hey everybody, welcome to the Players Take episode 14. I am your host, Justin DeSimone, joined by my favorite agent in DC, Montrell Rice.
Hey, what's up?
For those of you who have not listened before, the Players Take is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. The show posts at 6 a.m. on Tuesdays on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, your favorite podcast networks. If you've listened to the show and you like it, please like, review, subscribe to the show, and share it with your friends. We would really appreciate it. So, let's jump right in. Montrell, what have you been playing this week?
I've been playing Division 2 with you guys, some more Devil May Cry, and I bought Sekiro and I played a couple of hours of it, but I'm still playing Devil May Cry. So
Yeah, you're still playing Devil May Cry.
Because, Bloody Palace is about to come out on the 1st, so...
Getting hyped.
Yeah, man.
I have been playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 some more, and I've got to say, I'm still loving the game. But the flaws are starting to chip away at me a little, There's some things about this game that definitely I wish they had done differently.
Oh, so it's not a perfect game.
No, of course it's not a perfect game. Man, well, for one, you know how when you've killed enemies, open chests or whatever, like the loot would just come out and go on the ground and stuff, fly out onto the ground.
Yeah,
and you'd have to go pick it up, move your character onto it to pick it up. I kind of hate this system. It's really irritating because the game sometimes will put chests in places that are really tight and have an endless pit underneath them, and your loot will just fall into the endless pit and you can't get it. It's so annoying. It's even more annoying with enemies, in my opinion, because this happens with enemies a lot, because their loot will just pop out of them and will just fall into the cloud sea, as it were, for whatever salvager wants to go find it. It's kind of irritating. So there's that. I do think I got to chapter 5. I personally am enjoying the story. However, I do think it is getting a little long-winded in what it's trying to do. It feels like it's almost just kind of filling time right now. Nothing's really happened in a couple chapters.
Yeah, you're at midpoint of every Japanese RPG.
I think this is where you fell off with the game, because the last two chapters, legitimately nothing's really gone. Well, that's not fair, I guess. Chapter 3, something did happen. It was a pretty big event, but yeah, chapter 4 was just kind of, you just kind of went to this continent just to go to it. It was there was really no story reason to be there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
sometimes their stories are a little bit long
for sure. I think Xenosaga is the most infamous RPG ever made, because of that stuff. With the 3-hour cutscenes.
I don't know, I would say Chrono Trigger. Fucking Xenoblade Chronicles 1, I just didn't like the beginning part of it because it was kind of slow at the beginning.
Really? Oh my god. Dude.
Well, after you encounter your village gets destroyed, then that was cool. But after that, it was kind of slow.
That's what I'm saying. I love the beginning of Xenoblade Chronicles because it is so counter to literally 95% of the rest of the game. After that beginning portion where things go down, the game changes and it stays that way for the rest of the game. Yeah. There's really you don't go back to that beginning portion. So I like it for that reason. I think it is a little over long. It's a few hours, honestly. And it kind of, but I think it's really effective because there's a moment, when the village gets attacked that has a lot of impact because of those hours you spend. Kind of just running around.
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you remember what I'm talking about,
you get
right?
an attachment to the village.
And some of the characters you're with. And,
I did have that that feeling when...
I think it's necessary, personally. I think it's necessary for the story effectiveness.
Okay. I can see the good and the bad of that.
Because, dude, the scene that happens when the village is attacked is legitimately one of my favorite scenes I've ever experienced in a game. It's so well done. It gives me chills when I go watch it sometimes. I'll just go watch it sometimes because it's that good. The cuts, the music, everything. The voice acting is perfect, dude. But anyways, back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I think, too, some of the other things with it is the game... I feel like some of the areas are it's just like it's hard to explain. It's like the game's really overwhelming because there's so much in it. You know, it's so much in it. And I can understand why people don't love these games. Yeah. I really can see why. I'm not that person. I love the way Monolith Soft designs their stuff, but I even me though, I'm running through an area like chapter 4 in particular, the Titan you go to in chapter 4, you don't go to like half of it in the story. The game doesn't even require you to go to those places. I want to go there, but it's like in my head, it's like that's so many hours I have to dedicate to just going and exploring that properly. Yeah. You know, so it's kind of daunting in that way. That's why I'm so slowly getting through this game, because of that kind of thing. It reminds me of The Witcher, where it's just like there's so much content, you feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, those games are known for, like, even The Witcher did it to me. So I can't necessarily blame it on Japanese RPGs, because The Witcher definitely did that.
Absolutely not, yeah.
That's the one thing that turned me off The Witcher. I had to come back and play it, because at first I fucking hated
I was the same way. I played the first 2 chapters or 2 acts of The Witcher 3, and then I just dropped the game. Yeah. And I came back like a year and a half later and platinumed it.
Yeah, I had to dedicate myself to it.
Exactly.
But the first 2, like, I was like, man, I don't see why people are praising this game. It's slow, blah, 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 blah. Then I actually was like, okay, I bought this game. I'm going to get my $60 out of it. Mm-hmm. And once I did it and I understood what everyone was talking about, once the whole game comes together, then you're like, oh, okay, this game's really cool.
So, I keep hearing this opinion, too, that the games that don't get to the point quickly enough aren't worth, like, it annoys some people. And I understand that. However, I think the thing is, the way, like, Xenoblade Chronicles and The Witcher are great examples of this, that are games that take a while to get going. Monster Hunter's like this too. They take a while to get going, but once they get going, they become just such special experiences when everything's kind of unlocked and you have everything available to you. You can kind of go where you want and do what you want. You know, I think that's the thing is if these games were worse games, they wouldn't be worth the time, right? Yeah, they would just be crappy, mediocre games that have a ton of content. That's a waste of your time. But these are fantastic games, right? Once you have everything, like, kind of, it just takes a while to get there. Yeah, you know, and I can understand some people not wanting to deal with that, right? You want,
a lot of people don't have that time for that.
Yeah, so, exactly. I mean, arguably we don't, but
yeah, it's
you know, I still do it anyways because I just love these games. You know, it's like
we're grateful to have spouses who appreciate our hobbies. You know.
Yeah, indeed. Fair enough. Also, Division 2. Been playing with some more of that. I got to World Tier 2 yesterday.
Yeah, you bastards. Jet told me he's on World Tier 3 now.
Yeah, I can get there in like 2 missions. And
all right, I guess I gotta catch up.
Well,
with you guys.
Dude. It's not. You don't. We realize you don't have to do a whole lot. You have to do 2 missions and then a stronghold to go up a world tier. That's it. Okay. It's 3 missions. You just need to hit the gear score for the stronghold. And you usually get there by doing the 2 missions. So
gotcha. All right.
It's not too. It's really not that bad. I don't want to talk too much about this game. I think we're going to talk about it more next week. Yeah. I think we'll have probably full review thoughts at that point in time. So, moving into the news. Well, actually, one thing I forgot about the Division 2. They did announce that World Tier 5 and the Tidal Basin Stronghold, which I believe is the raid.
Is that an 8-player raid?
Yeah, it's the 8-player raid. They're coming out next Friday, April 5th.
Cool.
So if you're into the Division, look forward to that. Okay. Moving into the news.
I like this title. I'm sorry. That was really cool. That was really clever of me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're so funny. You're so funny, man. So funny. Okay. There was a ton of news this week, so we're not going to be doing a topic of the show.
Yay!
So
I'm just saying they probably say that.
Come on, man.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I like the titles of the show. I do.
Anyways, so we're going to be doing a ton of news and game releases. I think actually we probably should do let's knock the game releases out first. I can't talk.
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at the game releases.
Oh, the list. Yeah, so the list we use, this list being the reason why we don't name every game now, has 1 game on it for next week. It's amazing. Super good. Anyways, moving on to announcements, releases, whatnot. So Dead Cells, I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. They were doing a big free DLC. It is out. It's called Rise of the Giant. It adds, looks like it's a pretty substantial update. It adds some new areas, new enemies, weapons, boss fights, apparently some new endings to the game's story. So this is pretty substantial. This is feels like a love letter to players kind of thing. I want to get back to this game, so I'm probably going to try to check it out. It seems like, though, it's really endgame focused. So I don't even know if I'll get to it.
It's not funny. I recommended that game to you, and I haven't played it yet. I have that game, but I just haven't played it yet.
You haven't played it? You have it on Switch?
Yeah, I have it on Switch.
It's really good on Switch, man. It's cool. It has some amount of slowdown, but it's only when you have a ton of things happening on screen, which happens extremely rarely. So definitely worth your time. If you have Dead Cells, check this out. Next up, Dreams, the game that seems to never want to come out, apparently has an early access. Early access is going to be starting on April 16th on PS4, and it's going to cost $30 to get into. I am kind of surprised they're charging for this, because this is weird. This is a AAA studio, first party game for PS4.
I'm not excited for it.
No, I'm not excited either. I mean, I think a lot of people have been wondering if this game's even going to come out. And, I mean, obviously they're trying... It seems to me this is probably Sony's compromise with Media Molecule. They were probably like, hey, we know you've been making this game for a while, and you're not going to be done for a little bit while longer. So we need to make some money in the meantime, because you've been working on this for years.
I just don't think it's going to pay off.
I don't think so either. No, I don't think so either.
I don't like to be negative towards developers like that, because they probably don't deserve it. But I mean, it's just been in development for so long.
I mean, dude, at some point you got to shit or get off the pot though with this stuff.
Yeah, because isn't it one of these Little Big Planet games? It's not a Little Big Planet game, but it's something.
It's a style like that. Yeah. No, it's got creation tools. That's kind of the point of it. Yeah, it's got creation tools.
I think that's that phase. I called it a fad. Because I remember Spark came out on the Xbox One when it first launched.
Yep.
Little Big Planet 3. That was on the PS3.
Mario Maker.
I
guess you could call, sort of. It's Mario Maker.
I feel like that it was kind of a fad that everyone had, and it kind of maybe this will respark it.
I don't think it's a fad as so much as I just don't think the audience for this is that large. I think there are plenty of people that are going to want this.
You're right.
Yeah, I think there are plenty of people that are going to want this. It's just how many of those people exist? Like a million?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not buying this to play the game.
If it was a game like Halo 3. I remember Halo 3 had its large audience, but then people made a shit ton of custom games for that. Yeah. Because they gave them the tools. Basically.
Yeah, the Forge.
Yeah,
the Forge, right.
And if it was a game like that where it had its base game and then hey, we got these creation tools.
This is going to have a quote unquote single player campaign, but we have no idea what it is. They've never shown it.
Okay.
So
because they're advertising it as a creation tool.
Yeah, and that's been the problem with this game is I think they're not marketing it to anybody except for creators, and creators aren't going to be enough to make your money back on this. To me.
Spark learned that lesson the hard way. So.
I'm sure plenty of cool things are going to come out of this, and I'm sure plenty of people who aren't into game dev are going to become people who want to join, get into game dev. I know tons of people. There were tons of people who played Little Big Planet 1 and 2 that probably became game developers because they created stuff in that game and they loved doing it.
Yeah, I know tons of people too. I mean, it's just. So you said, the audience is small. Yeah, and that's what I'm really afraid of. That the audience is small and they won't make their revenue back.
It's not big enough for Sony to waste their time with. Yeah. So I can see this game stumbling along for a year, and then I could really see Media Molecule getting closed. That's kind of what I think is going to happen.
I hope not. But.
I mean, I hope not too. But I mean, you can't go this long without releasing a game. Ben's doing the same thing, but at least their game has some appeal to it. Yeah, from a single player standpoint, it's it looks kind of vanilla, but it's a game though. Yeah, this is question. I don't know how I would explain this to somebody who doesn't know video games. It's not really a game per se, so. Okay, moving on. I don't know. I've never played this series. I don't know if you have either. But WayForward announced that Shantae 5 is coming to PS4, Xbox One, and PC, Nintendo Switch, and the newly announced Apple Arcade. This is a platforming series, right? 2D platformers?
Yeah. I don't have any experience with this. I just have experience with the fan base surrounding it.
Oh, yeah.
And the fan base is kind of weird.
Yeah?
Like, I don't...
Is the game weird?
No, the game's not weird.
It doesn't seem like it.
It's just like one of those things that's easily Rule 34able.
Yeah.
And I think that's where most of the fan base comes from, is the Rule 34 surrounding this. And if you don't know what Rule 34 is, don't type in Shantae Rule 34.
Uh-oh.
Just type in what's the internet rule of the Rule 34.
Did you make this mistake?
Yeah, I did. But I mean, because I used to be on 4chan and they used to always want, and 4chan, that's like a weird,
of course, like
group of people. So I mean, they always wanted this game to come out. They always wanted this character on Smash. I think it's a assist trophy on Smash. I think so.
Is she?
I think she's an assist trophy on Smash.
I've never seen her, but there's a million assist trophies in Smash. So
I'm pretty sure she is, because a lot of people want her on Smash.
Are you sure she's not just like a trophy?
Maybe she is a trophy.
Yeah, like one of the ones that's just like informational.
Yeah, maybe she is. But I remember a lot of people wanting her on Smash. So I mean, the company that made it, they're doing well. So.
This series has gotten popular recently.
Yeah, it got popular.
A bunch of these games have come out in the last 5 years.
Yeah, in the 3DS era, that's when it really blew up.
Yeah.
So
this is interesting news. The studio behind Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2, Larian Studios, they are making a new Divinity Original Sin game. However, it is not like the other two. It's going to be a tactical, strategy game similar to XCOM. This piques my interest because I don't I always have an interest in those games. I've never played XCOM. I really need to play XCOM because I know I would love it. But this piques my interest because the tactical combat in Divinity Original Sin has actually always been really good.
Yeah.
And I think that this game could work really well. The studio knows how to make turn-based combat pretty well and make it really dynamic. It's just an interesting announcement. I don't think this is coming in place of a Divinity Original Sin 3 or whatever their next project is, whatever that is. I think they're working on it with a external development team, so I don't know how much of that is, I don't know if it's like 50-50 or if they're letting the external team do it and they're kind of, shepherding them with some of their producers and directors, but something to keep note of. I'm going to keep my eye on this game for sure. Have you ever played Divinity Original Sin? Or?
Unfortunately, I haven't.
No? Okay. I played the first one. I thought it was a decent game. It's a good game. I'll say that. It's not that amazing. However, Divinity Original Sin 2 seems to have been really improved the formula, and I really want to play that game at some point.
Okay.
So, and then last release that came out, this was kind of a surprise one that came out in the middle of the week. So this was following up the story we had a couple weeks ago where Diablo 1 released on GOG, surprisingly. Well, Warcraft 1 and 2 have joined it. This was announced actually with that release of Diablo back a few weeks ago. We didn't think it would happen this quickly, though. So it is interesting because Warcraft 2 is the BattleNet edition, so this can be played online. However, that comes with a huge caveat. You have to basically set up the game as you would have back when it came out. So you have to open ports on your router, and you have to, you have to do things that I would not recommend on your home network in order to play this game. So if you're gonna play this, use some kind of VPN tool or like Hamachi or something like that to kind of keep yourself safe. If you're gonna try to play it online, honestly though, don't play Warcraft 2 online. Just play through the campaign. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot there. There's a lot of content. There's a ton of missions. Ton of missions. Like, this is a long game. This will take you... The original game plus the expansion, I would wager somewhere in the range of 50 hours, probably.
And that's single player.
And it might even be more than that, depending on how good of the game you are. Like, if you have to replay missions, it might even be longer, so... Warcraft 1, I've never personally played Warcraft 1. I've seen people play Warcraft 1. It looks
dated,
slow, and plodding. Warcraft 2 kind of fixed all that and fixed the balance and made the game a lot faster. So highly recommend Warcraft 2. I think it's $10. Warcraft 1 is $6. So those are available on GOG right now. In terms of games coming out next week, as we said, there's one game on the list we use. So TOB Definitive Edition.
I do want to give some shout outs to the games that came out this week or the week of us recording.
Yes.
For fighting game fans, I do recommend checking out that Power Rangers Battle of the Grid game. If you like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate, this game will, and you hate it Infinite like I did, this game will kind of satisfy you, especially if you're a Power Rangers fan.
Yep.
And Yoshi's Crafted World. And they got Path to Exile that came out on the PS4.
Yeah, that's out on consoles. Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel. This is an RPG I want to play at some point.
What is it like? Is it like an action RPG or?
I don't even know, dude. But these games are so. I hear whispers of these games all over the internet sometimes, where people just bring them up and they're like. There's like a cult following for these games. Trails of Cold Steel and then Trails of the Sky, I think, is another one. I want to try them. I know they're really large games though, so they're in my brain at some point to play. But
it looks like turn-based RPG.
Yeah, it's like a turn-based RPG.
I like when turn-based RPGs shows what next enemy is coming next.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of those old like Super NES ones.
Yeah.
So that's kind of and like the GBA ones like Golden Sun and stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think of. So that's why I'm kind of interested. Also, the final episode ever of the Walking Dead Telltale series is out. Episode 4 of Season 4.
Clementine's all grown up.
Also, Grim Dawn's expansion came out on Wednesday.
Hey.
Forgotten Gods.
Hey, guys, and guess what else came out?
Oh, Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered.
Not only that.
Or Tropico?
Nope.
No? What am I missing? Oh, Metal Girl.
For you Xbox One fans who didn't experience Final Fantasy VII on the other 10 console platforms you can get it on, you can
it's more than 10.
Whatever. I don't even care.
It's more than 10. Dude, you can play Final Fantasy VII probably on like a digital toaster. Like, it's on everything, dude. This game's out of control. Like, they're gonna run. I bet you can play Final Fantasy VII on smart fridges. Like that's
you probably could.
You probably can.
Some of them are Android based.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. So
this is ridiculous. Square Enix.
I'm sure it's $20.
It probably is.
It's probably $20.
This is ridiculous.
Square, clean it up, okay? Clean it up. Release new games.
I can't believe this game. When I saw that, I instantly got mad. But. That's all I got.
I think Final Fantasy VII just triggers you. Like you just get mad that they keep re-releasing this game all over the place.
Because let's be honest, right? I think it was G4's fault, and the reason I think G4 is fault because a lot of people did relate to when. First of all, I didn't even play it when it came out. I never played the game. I played it after it came.
I played it 10 years later.
Yeah, I played it like 5 years later after it came out.
Yeah.
And I remember on G4, people were like, oh, man, when, what's her name, Aerith? Yeah. When she gets stabbed, I just remember crying. That was the first game that legitimately made me cry. And I'm like...
I don't buy it. I don't buy it, dude. I'm sorry.
You know the game that always made me tear up? I'll be honest. And I was young when I played the game. I was like 10 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
When Metal Gear, right? You kill Sniper Wolf.
Yeah.
And you had to shoot her in the face.
Yeah.
Like, that was so bad.
And Otacon's he's like crushed.
Yeah.
He's like legitimately crushed. And he wants to be mad at you, but he knows
you had to
do it. Like, it's like there was a real emotional resonance from that scene.
Actually, honestly, all the enemies you kill in that game, you do not want to kill them because you relate to them so... That game was fucking good.
It's amazing. It's an amazing game for its time. Why do you think Hideo Kojima is who he is, dude? Like, no, Montrell, I'm gonna say something that probably will get me yelled at on the internet. I didn't care about anybody in Final Fantasy VII. I don't care about Cloud and his dumb hair and his stupid sword. I don't care about Tifa. I don't care about Aerith. I don't care about Sephiroth. I don't care about Barrett. I don't care about any of them.
You know why I only went back and played this game? I'm going to tell you why. I had PSP and I played Final Fantasy Crisis Core, and I fell in love with Zack so much. I'm like,
yeah. You want to give it another shot?
Yeah, I want to give it another shot. So I did, and I played through all of it. But the whole time I was playing through all of it, I was just calling Cloud a bitch in the back of my head. I'm like, you're a bitch.
Seriously. Oh my God. Zack should have been the main character.
Yes.
Dude, when they revealed Zack late in the game, and Cloud's like realizes he had like taken over his persona or whether, I'm like, why wasn't Zack the main character?
Zack was that guy.
Yeah. And I just...
the simple fact that he can go toe-to-toe with Sephiroth in Genesis is remarkable to me. It was crazy. Yeah. But...
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. This isn't a Final Fantasy VII hate podcast. Let's move on before we get down a rabbit hole we can't get out of. Oh my God. Anyways, let's go back to the news. So, okay. This was announced and happened between our recordings of the last two podcasts.
Yep.
Sony announced a State of Play, which was basically their version of a Nintendo Direct, and it was 20 minutes. It was very VR focused. It showed a short trailer of some story elements for Days Gone at the end of it.
Yep.
And then that was really it. There was a No Man's Sky VR update. Then they showed Mortal Kombat 11. They showed some new characters for that, which I couldn't care less, personally. And that was really it. They showed this Iron Man VR. Oh my God.
No one asked for this.
It looks so bad.
So that game wasn't made by Square Enix, right?
What?
The Iron Man.
No,
VR.
I don't.
Okay.
No. I think it's somebody else. So
cool.
The thing is, what were your overall thoughts of this?
All right. So positives. I think it was clear and concise. Yep. I didn't mind the presentation. It was different enough from the Nintendo Direct. They had their own thing going.
But it had a very Nintendo Direct-esque.
It was Nintendo Direct-esque pace,
yeah.
But it was more Sony with the sounds and the way they did stuff and everything like that. Yep. So I didn't mind it. Mm-hmm. Another thing I didn't mind that everyone seemed to fucking hate was they talked about what they were going to talk about. In the original post of this game, they said, hey, we're going to announce some PS4 updates and VR updates. And they hold true to that. 20 minutes, got everything clearing out the way. I didn't have a problem with it. Only problem I had with it was nothing really appealed to me because it wasn't for me. I feel like
no, it wasn't for either of us, and I think I felt the same way. I was a little bit more negative initially, but as the week's gone on, I think this was the internet blew up about this.
Oh my God, it was ridiculous.
It was really obnoxious. People were just up Sony's ass about this, like oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. There was one guy that I saw was like I'm in shock right now. I forgive you, Sony, but do better. Like I was like, what are you talking about? Like you act like they came into your house, shot your dog, and walked out. Like what are you talking about? It's just video game. It's just a video game announcement video. Like calm down, everybody.
People were saying.
They were taking this personally.
Like, this was the wrong time to have this particular conversation. Ugh. So they were having this one conversation I saw on Reddit and Twitter. They're like, you know what? This is what all the time when companies get on top, they just fall off. And because they're on top of the console generation, like Xbox did last generation. Yep. Now that Sony's on top, they're doing it this generation. And I'm like, this wasn't an indication that they're falling off. This was
actually the opposite.
Yeah, like they're staying
they're actually communicating.
Yeah, like they're communicating what's going on.
Yeah.
This is probably why they're not going to be at E3 because they're going to be doing this through a season.
And I think we're going to get an E3 one of these.
Yeah.
It's 3 months from now. It makes perfect sense. I think they literally aren't going to be at E3 the same way Nintendo's not.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to have a video.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's almost a guarantee, personally.
And I don't mind that. And I mean...
and that makes me excited about E3 again, you know?
Yeah. Because what are we going to get from E3? Like, I think that's the main thing. Like, what are we going to get?
Yeah.
And... I actually like that they're like a lot of these big people are dropping out because we won't get we'll get games, but they won't be like held to a particular conference.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for E3. And that's all I really got on this.
I just thought people overreacted.
They did. They totally did.
I think people wanted to take the piss out of Sony, and that conversation happening was so predictable after this. It's like the content didn't appeal to me, and yes, this might not have been the best way to start this. However, maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they wanted their
Directs being that strong.
No, some of them have been terrible. I think the thing is, like, maybe Sony didn't want to announce anything big before E3, and they want to actually do it for the E3 one.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they just wanted to get this started, get this in people's heads, to like get people used to the format, and that these are going to start happening now. And
I just think people like you said, they just overreacted. And
I don't know, dude.
I mean, I understand a lot of people are not on Twitter. A lot of people are, but a lot of people aren't.
Yeah.
And if they didn't see the initial tweet saying like, "Hey, we're just going to announce VR updates and stuff like that," then I can understand them being mad, but I don't understand the point of which they were mad. They like, if you're like level 5 mad, okay, cool, but people are like level 100 mad, and it's just like, I don't understand why you're that mad, bro. Chill out.
I mean,
like,
dude, it was like 17 minutes of your life. Like,
like the dude who said like, "Oh, I forgive you," so like, shut up.
Dude,
oh my god.
No, I mean, like I said on Twitter, I was like, look, this is probably going to be the worst one of these we experience.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to look back on this one and be like, wow, that was really bad, compared to all these other ones we have. But it's like, they need to do better next time, and they probably will. Like that.
The only complaint I have is, which I understand is like a trend now, but I'm like, Sony is copying Nintendo once again. They've been doing this for a while.
Look,
but I think we kind of expect it now. It's kind of a thing, and Nintendo is going to be the innovators of our time.
I don't even think that's necessarily true. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. Like, the format works. It works for Nintendo, and they do a really good job with it. Sony's got to figure out how to do it well, and obviously what to put in these. And I think they'll learn that they need to give us something at each one of these that's worth our time, right?
Yeah.
There was no big announcement here. There was no one more thing. There was nothing like that. They needed something like that. I think that's the one misstep they had here, is that they just showed Days Gone that's coming out in like 4 weeks.
Yeah, we already knew about that. You showed that so many times.
They showed Mortal Kombat 11, which is coming out in like 2 months.
And that had its own conference.
And they showed Crash Team Racing, which is coming out in like 3 months.
No, I thought that was pretty cool.
It was cool, but that's what I'm saying though. They didn't give us anything. Like, you couldn't give us like a tease for some new game you're making, because I've heard that they're making some stuff they haven't announced yet. And,
I know they are.
Yeah, so give us something with that, maybe, or maybe just maybe a tease of like a release window for one of the games coming out this fall or something. Like, don't give a date necessarily, but say it's coming out fall 2019. If it's Ghost of Tsushima or Last of Us 2 or whatever game.
Yeah.
They could have done something like that. So that's the one misstep. But, whatever. I think people overreacted.
Yeah, they did.
Moving on, another Sony-focused story. This actually came out the same day. Sony, this one's a weird one. Sony's not going to be, no longer going to be selling digital game codes through retailers. This isn't going to affect PSN cards or PS Plus cards. So you can still buy your PSN money physically at stores and PS Plus subscriptions through stores, but you won't be able to buy digital games through stores anymore.
So like if I buy, because you can buy digital games.
Yeah, you can go to Target and buy a card that has a Sekiro code on it, or Sekiro code on it, and take it home, put it on PSN, and you have the digital version of Sekiro.
I wonder why they're not doing that anymore.
Well, I was thinking about this, and part of me thinks that I'm going to guess they probably don't make that much money off this. First of all. And second of all, this makes the digital market fully under their control, right? They're not. They don't have to pay the retailers their cut anymore, because, I mean, if somebody goes into the store and buys that Sekiro card from Target, they have to pay Target, whatever money they're owed. Which that wouldn't be true on PSN. So that person who goes to Target will just buy it on PSN now.
That's true. Yeah.
And Sony gets the full cut of that, whatever Activision and
what I was thinking
From make. But
some people are probably like selling codes on eBay and Amazon and stuff like that.
Well,
too.
I think the other thing too is people. When you have a gift card to a place, right? Like say Amazon, for instance. There's been plenty of times where I've had tons of gift cards on Amazon from birthdays, Christmas, whatever, what have you. And I just go buy like a game on Amazon with it. It's like you can't do that now, right? Like you can't do that with a digital game now. So you'd either have to buy the physical copy or, buy PSN bucks and go do it that way. So
it does make them control the market a little bit more.
It makes sense. It's
from a business
weird
standpoint.
Move.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't think that move was for us or against us. It was just one of those things that were like, "Hey, let's do this."
Yeah, I don't have a feeling one way or the other about it. I don't particularly care. I've never legitimately never bought a digital game physically at a retail store before. I've never done that.
I've never done it either
because I see literally no purpose in it. So
the only time I purchase a digital game, like with a code, is if I got a product with it. Like obviously my Blue Yeti mic, I got Assassin's Creed with it. So
yeah, for sure. But no, I'm talking about like going to Target, taking one of the cards off the wall.
I never did that before.
Yeah, I've never done that.
That's
before.
weird.
It is weird. So I think that's kind of the point. Is like. It's like a weird move for Sony, but it kind of makes sense. It's
like I never
they're hurting a small portion of the market. And I don't even think those I don't even think those people are really going to care though. Yeah. It's like it's not that big of a deal. So, all right, moving on. So this was an interesting rumor. This has been going around for a while. I didn't really want to add this to the news until recently. This seems to have become much more substantial and substantiated. So the Wall Street Journal published a report recently claiming that Nintendo is going to be launching 2 new versions of the Nintendo Switch this year.
We caught it.
Yeah. By the end of the year. One's going to be a cheaper model that is potentially, supposedly, handheld only. It's not going to have a dock or anything like that. So it's going to be basically the Switch without a dock, essentially.
Okay.
And then there's going to be a quote-unquote pro version of the Switch that's going to be more powerful and I assume more expensive.
You know what? I mean,
with maybe more memory inside of it, so it's not so restrictive.
I'm probably going to buy that. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest with you.
Dude, the pro version, I don't care about the handheld only version. Like, the pro version for me, like, I was telling you before we started that, I think the performance boost that this could give us is very worth the money. I think because there's a lot of games I played on the Switch that have performance issues. Xenoblade being one. I saw it with Breath of the Wild. And, I think I saw it with Mario Kart as well. So it's definitely an interesting... It's an interesting thing. It depends on the price, really, for me.
Yeah.
But I think it's something I would definitely consider.
If it's the same price as the Switch now,
currently $300, and they just lower the current one to like $250 or $200.
That way, I can give my girlfriend my old Switch.
Yeah,
and then I can get this, and we can both play the Switch together.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
Yeah,
it's a good idea. Yeah. So the handheld only one is interesting because it needs to be. I'm not gonna say significantly cheaper, but I mean it kind of does need to be pretty cheap for people to justify buying that version over the one with the dock. Like, why would you give up that functionality for $50?
Yeah, I think they're gonna do like what they did with the 3DS, the N3DS and 3DS thing. I think they're gonna do that, but the N3DS.
How cheap do you think they'd make it though? Or do you think they'd phase out the current version of the Switch?
They might phase it out.
Yeah.
I can see them doing like an Xbox thing, how they phased out the black Xbox, and then they got the Xbox S, and then the Xbox Elite, or the Xbox X. Yeah. So I can see them doing going that route, because that makes sense, because the Xbox Slim, or the Xbox S rather, is significantly cheaper and it's more powerful than the original Xbox one that came out, and the Xbox X is significantly powerful than both of them. Yeah. So I think this is a good move, honestly. I do too. I was kind of expecting something like this.
It's kind of about time.
Yeah,
really.
Because before I even wanted to buy a Switch, I'm like, man, why don't they have like 2 versions of it? Like, maybe an undocked version, which is cool, and you can buy a dock later. But I think this is cool.
That's true if they start selling docks separately.
Yeah, like if they to me, it would get a lot more people to buy a Switch, because like people like me, like you and me are completely different Switch players, right? 100%. You play docked.
No, that's not true.
Well, I mean, how many times?
I play. The only game I play docked is Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Okay.
Every other game I play handheld.
And I play a lot. Only game I played docked was Super Smash Brothers, when you guys were over that one.
That's true.
That's it. So
I do that. I did that too.
Yeah, but side note, you got my girlfriend wanting to buy fucking Catherine now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she wants to play that game.
Will she listen to the podcast?
Yeah.
Man, hey, dude, it's a good game. It's worth it. I told you I love that game. I love that game. I haven't beaten it. It's stupid, but I love the game. It's such a cool game, man. So it's worth your time. The music and everything is just like, dude, the puzzles and the bosses are like, they're so immersive and like disturbing. It's so cool. Oh man, I can't wait if you do get it and you guys play it.
I'm gonna get it.
I cannot wait till you get to the third boss. Do you remember the third boss, or did you ever play it?
I played like the first couple hours of it.
The third boss is so creepy, dude. Okay. Anyways, if you do play it,
I would definitely let you
let me know how it goes. Okay, moving on. This is a bit of a sad story. So this came out. EA has laid off 350 of their employees. It's mostly in marketing and publishing divisions and some of their overseas offices. First things first. Thoughts to these folks. Hopefully they fall on their feet and get a job quickly. As we said before, the game industry is very good about giving these people support. When this stuff happens. Companies are like, hey, we're hiring and everything like that. So love seeing that stuff, but don't love seeing these people get laid off. This is it is interesting. EA is giving them severance and giving them some help finding positions elsewhere.
Okay.
So they're not completely like cutting them dry. They're handling it in a professional manner, but their justification for this, though, there was an email that Jason Schreier reported on that went out when this was announced, basically saying that the company's trying to become great and they need to do things differently in order for that to facilitate that.
That's interesting.
And
this is gonna sound terrible. This is about to sound terrible.
Yep.
First of all, my hearts and condolences out to these 350.
350,
right? Yeah, and I mean they're probably great marketeers and
they'll find jobs.
Yeah,
dude.
they'll definitely find jobs because the
people
marketing sector is huge.
Yeah, people in games are talented too, man. So,
but like these aren't developers, so let's just get that straight.
That's true. Yep.
So these aren't developers these aren't developers. These are people in charge of like pushing markets, and they're probably in charge of like the market strategy for the
products
game. So, as much as I hate seeing people lose their jobs, I do think this is the right move for them. Whether it's just PR bullshit or not, them focusing more on like it looks like they're going away from like the whole marketing thing and going more towards games.
Yeah.
That's cool to me, and I think other publishers might take note of that, but that's just my opinion on the matter.
Well, for me, I'm with you. I don't love seeing these people lose their jobs, but EA basically they have to back up their words here.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They can't continue down the same path they've been going down for years, right? They have to change. If this kind of thing is ever going to be justified, you have to actually follow through with what you're saying.
Yeah.
Become a different company, really change your culture, change the way you do business, and that will change your reputation amongst gamers, right?
Yeah, that money that you're putting into...
Yeah. The idea that EA could become a company that gamers love is such a laughable thought in this current moment. And the amount of effort that it would take them to turn that around is gargantuan. So they have to really do this, it's like because the thing is, if you keep going down this road, what's going to stop this happening again in 2 years, 3 years, where they lay off another 350 people, and then they give the same PR BS where they're like, we need to change our direction, we haven't been doing things right. Well, what happened last time? You said that last time, and here we are again. It's like, so you have to follow through.
Well, another factor I think we're not taking into account here is Apex. So Apex released with no marketing behind it whatsoever.
Zero. It just came out.
Just
dropped one day in the middle at the beginning of February.
Yeah, they didn't need a marketing strategy. They didn't need they didn't need any like advertising for it. I only started seeing advertising for Apex after the first week it launched, and it got really popular.
Yeah.
But besides that, I didn't see anything for it. And I think EA took notice of that, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe a good game does sell without all this marketing. Quality game, because this is a quality game. I mean,
dude, that'd be awesome if that was the moment that they had this realization. I mean,
it could have been, honestly, and they stock went up when this game came out.
Well, dude, think the funny part about the same month. Think about the Anthem. It's the exact opposite of Apex.
Exactly.
They've been hyping this game for like a year, 2 years, dropping videos, doing all these trailers and telling us all about this game, and then it comes out and it's not the game they showed us, and I mean, we're gonna talk about Anthem in a second, actually, funnily enough, but you have all that stuff with Anthem, and then that game's like burning down, and it's like obviously it sold decently well since it was the highest selling game for February, but that doesn't mean much when your reputation takes the hit that it did.
Yeah, exactly.
You're destroying one of your prestige studios in BioWare with that game. And obviously, BioWare probably had some amount of hand in the marketing of it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure EA did as well. They absolutely have some input there. That's the whole point of a publisher. That's what publishers are for, is to help market games.
Exactly.
Right? And so I think when you have those two things so close to one another, and they're such stark contrasts in their quality and the way they were marketed, and the differences in the success levels and the critical reception, you have a situation where maybe that creates a situation where you kind of have an epiphany where maybe we do need to do things differently. So I don't know. I mean, saying that for Electronic Arts, I feel like I'm making a real leap of faith, but
I feel like we are, but I feel like we're trying to be positive towards the game industry.
But I want to give them a chance.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to see these guys be the villains of gaming forever.
I'm at the point where I'm tired of hating them.
I'm sick of it, dude.
Yeah, it's mentally exhausting.
Dude, you don't know how many times I roll my eyes every day where I see a comment where somebody's like, yeah, EA makes it. Not buying that game. It's like, it's so reductive, lacking in critical analysis. Just like, dude, that's not, you're not giving the situation like a real look. You're just saying EA bad and not buying something because of it. Like, that's not a fair way to approach things.
I look at the not the publishers, but the publishers too, but the developers, right? So I mean, I feel like, especially now that we have a lot more information on how publishing and relations go with the actual developers and how much creative control they actually get out of these things.
Yeah.
Like Destiny is one of those examples where Bungie had a lot of creative control with the actual company itself, and Activision was like, okay, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to do. And it was the higher-ups at Bungie who were like, no, we're not going to go with this version of Destiny. We want this other version, make it in a year, and shoot it out.
Yep. So,
I mean, as a publisher, all you can do is be like, all right, man, like, this is what you got. This is what I'm going to work with. Yeah. Marketing team, make it happen, So I'm pretty sure in this situation, that's probably what happened with Anthem and stuff like that. They were just like, marketing team, make it happen. And
they went too far.
They went too far. And Apex, on the other side, was like, should we make a Titanfall 3? Well, we have the foundation for this game. You know what? Let's just cut that and let's take what we have. We can still keep it in the same universe. Mm-hmm. Make Apex.
Yep.
We drop it for free. What's the worst that can happen? We get. We all talented, so we can get jobs. But I'm like, I understand you don't want to see the studio close. But
they have another game in the pipeline too.
Yeah, they do
with Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah,
so they were in a perfect situation.
Yeah.
Right? They had nothing to lose with Apex. Because it's not like EA's not just going to close them because some free-to-play game didn't work out,
Yeah.
It was like, okay,
And this is their answer to the, what you call
Well, yeah, you were mentioning earlier, too, like a lot of great games have come out of these fallen projects, like Overwatch with Titan or whatever.
Yeah.
So let's get into Anthem, I guess. Is Anthem released a patch 1.0.4? There was a lot of controversy that happened with this because it broke. It broke some of the drops, like the guaranteed drops off Stronghold bosses didn't happen anymore. People were being able, like other people on your team were being able to pick up your loot.
What?
And it wasn't going into their inventory, but it was going into yours. So if you had a really small amount of space left, you could be in a situation where your inventory would get full because someone else picked up stuff you didn't want to pick up. So then all of a sudden a masterwork or a legendary would drop and you can't pick it up because your inventory is full and you can't drop anything because you can't get into your inventory in the middle of a mission. So It was a bad situation. I don't know if that was an intentional feature or not. I'm not sure. But either way, it created a really bad situation. The Reddit, we were talking about the Reddit, how they've been pretty good up to this point. They have hit a breaking point.
I feel
think.
like any
community.
Before I bashed them, I feel like anybody would reach a breaking point where you've invested time.
You love this game.
You love the game,
and they keep doing you dirty. Man.
Like in any product, like
yeah.
If you bought a Mustang or a car or something like that, and you love the product, you love the car, and you just keep trying, and it just keeps breaking down on you. Like the first month of you taking it off the lot, you're going to get upset.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Reddit, they've been really good. I did a whole tweet about them, and not just the Reddit, but in other communities as well. I think everyone's been handling the situation. Honestly, the only ones that's been really visceral towards BioWare at this point, up to this point, was the media. Like, actual media folks.
Dude. They were so mean.
Yeah. And gamers were... I even say to an extent, some YouTubers like, hey, I'm going to give this game a chance. I'm going to give it a chance to get fixed and everything like that. And even Angry Joe, he was mad at it, but he came out. He didn't release his Angry Joe thing until 3 weeks into the game came out. And
it was a week or
two.
It was like a week and a half after the early access. I think.
Okay, yeah.
So
So I mean, people gave this game a chance. We all gave it a fair shot. I told people
we definitely gave it a fair shot. Yeah, and we played like 30 hours, man. But
I just feel like at this point, you gotta let it go.
Well, we're at the point too where, because there was this thing with the Elysian caches that these are like vanity chests that would drop, and they accidentally kind of made it seem like that armor would drop out of these, like not the armor that you wear, not the armor that has stats on it. It's vanity armor, like the armor that they're selling in the cosmetic store.
Cosmetic stuff.
But that is actually not the case. It only drops like vinyls, victory poses, emotes, arrivals, which are not high value cosmetics. Like, who really cares about most of that stuff?
Yeah, most of the time I load in before a lot of people, so they can't see my arrival pose.
That misunderstanding, I think, was the thing that kind of, funnily enough, broke the Reddit. Because, dude, seriously, they were on fire about that. And it's gotten to the point now where people, they're in the phase of grief, where they are just trying to justify, they're trying to figure out what the hell happened.
Oh yeah, which is kind of our
next story. Yeah. And this one's kind of a joke, but there's a thread on the Reddit where somebody is pointing to a kind of a leak about a experimental AI system for video games that somebody had posted something about a couple years ago in a 4chan forum.
Yeah.
And what this AI would do basically was that it would monitor you outside of the game somehow and would try to create a player profile for you, and then use that information to try and mold your experience, like change the difficulty dynamically and change the amount of loot you're getting dynamically to make you play the game more. And this was, you guys can go look at this post on Reddit.
They actually added a lot of stuff. From this morning to now, like, he has like legitimate sources now on his stuff. I don't know if this guy is taking this to the whole new level.
Well, I looked at the presentation that he was originally basing this off of, and it just didn't look legitimate to me.
Yeah, it didn't.
It looked like somebody made it to trigger gamers, like, because it had that like cartoony, all the things that we fear that like these publishers are just conspiratorially evil, and they're trying to use everything they can to get every penny out of us.
My inner tinfoil hat did come out a little bit.
It's just so. I think the thing is, they're at the point where they're desperate to figure out why Anthem is as bad as it is, and the answer to me is simple. BioWare fucked up. Like,
I mean, but this did bring out some other interesting points. actual patents for dynamic difficulty.
These are real things. But
players who spend more money have more fun. That was an actual quote, and like they're trying to make a business model out of that. So it's a lot of articles that are legitimate articles that are coming out of this post. So it was a joke post, but I think it was more like a wake up post. Like, this is legitimately happening to our games, but not in the way of an AI structure type thing, like a Skynet type thing. But I agree with you. BioWare fucked up. Like, and we need answers. I was just saying this earlier this week, that they need to either host some kind of AMA or they need to come out. Like, they need to go to EA and their lawyers and discuss their NDAs, because at this point, I feel like the community, not just the Anthem community, but the gaming community and in general, we respect these people. We respect BioWare for their legacy, and I know we shouldn't hold them to their legacy, but when you release a game like this in this state, you have to own up to your failures. Like, there's nothing wrong with retreating. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think as American society or as Western society, we have a big issue with saying, hey, I'm wrong.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
And that kind of leads into our business practices as well with, hey, I'm wrong, because we have this pride that comes with that. Whereas some Eastern developers, they have a lot of pride too. I mean, like, you can look at Konami and stuff like that as for them, but you have a lot of other ones. Like, for instance, the greatest one in my example is Final Fantasy 14. How they rebuilt that game, or not? Yeah, they took the base system they had, but they rebuilt it, and they're like, yeah, we messed up.
It took them years too.
Yeah,
it was not a quick.
It wasn't an overnight thing.
No, they put a lot more money into that game to fix it.
Yeah, and it paid off.
It paid off though. Like, and I don't think that is necessarily going to work here, but it's worth a thought.
Yes.
I think towing the line for EA and BioWare right now and just trying to grind through this period of flaming and just bad PR, I think it's a bad move. I think I don't know if they can come back from this the normal way. You know, I think we're at the point where they have to do something drastic, and I don't think abandoning the game is the answer.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not.
That's not the answer. Like, that will.
They already did that. They already used that card up, in my opinion.
Exactly, with Andromeda.
Yeah,
and doing that with that game, with that franchise, I think it's taken away your ability to do that again. You know, like, if they do that with Anthem, no one's gonna buy their next game. Like, why would we trust, particularly if it's an online game too? Like, why would we trust them? You know, even if it's not an online game. I mean, Andromeda wasn't an online game, and they abandoned it, and the game was in a broken state still. And there were story threads that were not completed in the game. You know, there were DLCs planned to fill in story gaps. Yeah, you know. So, and they just abandoned all that stuff because the game was such a disaster. You know, so. Their track record has hurt their reputation, and if they abandon this game, they're at the point where BioWare is not going to be trusted by players anymore. You know, and EA already tarnishes that somewhat, so they have to be careful how they do this. And I don't know if the Realm Reborn concept is the right way for them, but it's worth a thought, man. Because
I don't think they should go for years, but maybe take a year off.
No, they don't need years. This game's not that complex. This is an MMO.
Yeah,
it doesn't need that much work. Like, I think if they took a year, they could probably get it to a state where it's re-releasable.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So I think the idea is just, like, either release a video, do an AMA, or some kind of announcement, or maybe you do both, right? You do a video and then you do an AMA afterwards. Where you do a video, you're like, hey, we know Anthem's in a bad state, and we're sorry about that.
Yeah, they have to apologize. 100%. That's one thing they have to do. They cannot fix the words like, hey, we're trying to fix it, or
no more of that.
Yeah, they have to legitimately apologize for releasing a $60 game.
In the state it was in.
In the state it was in. And I don't want to say false advertising, but
I don't think they need to own up to that, because that's just part of the territory. I think if they just apologize for the state of the game, that might be enough.
I think that's where we disagree, because I feel like they should apologize for releasing this content. Okay, I can say 2 years ago. Or
maybe this stuff from 8 months ago.
8 months ago. That's the stuff I'm really talking about.
I can understand that.
8 months ago, they should apologize like, hey, we released this content 8 months ago, or these trailers 8 months ago.
And be upfront about why that happened.
Exactly.
Yep.
And they just need to be upfront.
Like, put all the cards on the table. There's nothing...
Let people... And I think people will be more receptive to...
I do, too.
To honesty instead of just PR shit.
Dude, this Reddit wants to love this game. Yeah. Like, if they came out like this, I think these people would swarm to them and support them.
Me and you want, like, normal people
100%, dude.
I want to love this game.
Yeah,
we see the potential in the game.
Yes, absolutely.
And it just needs it. It needs some type of, like... Someone there... I don't know if it's the management, because I don't want to blame the developers. I'm just going to say it was probably the managerial staff of BioWare who didn't lead this project the way it needed to be led.
Yeah.
And I understand some complications happened.
I mean, it's any combination of factors that we don't know.
Yeah.
It could be EA meddling. It could be EA giving directives that they have to change direction on, that they don't have the resources to do it properly. It could be BioWare's management not managing properly. It could be legitimately managers of individual departments not doing their job very well. It could be developers not doing their jobs very well, or being distracted, or not having the right direction to work on the correct things. You know, it's like maybe it's not necessarily anybody being deficient at their job. It could just be a lack of direction and vision amongst the company, you know? It could be any of those factors. We don't really know. So they don't have to tell us those things. That's not really what we're saying here. It's more along the lines of just own up to the mistakes, move forward, and be open with the community. Have an AMA. You know, you're going to get asked some tough questions, but be as honest as you conceivably can be.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to spill the company's deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah,
but
no one's asking for that. We just want we just want to know. I don't even know, like, without spilling the deep, dark secrets, like, hey, you know, my friend's dog died and I was just in a state of depression. Like, no, we don't want to know that. We just want to know, like, technically wise, what happened? Like, oh, we saw that this wasn't working with the Xbox One version of it, or this wasn't working with the PS4 version of the game. We had to do this, we had to do that.
Or, dude, you know what? Focus the AMA on the future. Be like, look, ask us anything you want about our plans for the game.
Yeah,
and
that's
what
doable.
We want to do. And that might be the better way to do it, because that will get people excited. Yeah, right. You're giving them something real they can hold on to, you know?
Yeah, you know, that's
obviously you need to meet those things, whatever you say, but
yeah, that's a better way of approaching it. Like, yeah, the past is the past, we can't change that.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of stuff went bad, and just the main thing is they have to apologize for
100%. Those words have to come out of somebody's mouth.
Yeah, like, we apologize, you know, and and it can't be like one of those apologies like, we apologize, you guys didn't enjoy it. Like,
no, it can't be one of those. It can't be condescending like that. Like, it's got to be more along the lines of, we apologize, we have failed you guys. Yeah. As a like as a team, we have failed this community. You know, something along those lines.
Yeah, it's and I don't think that's wrong. I don't think, and I know a corporate world is kind of like late on this, because millennials, we're kind of accepting to, like, we did shit wrong, now we gotta change it.
100%.
And I feel like the corporate world is kind of catching up to that, but they're not all the way there yet.
Yeah, they don't want to accept when they do something wrong. Yeah, right. And they don't want to own up to it. And I think that's a lot of our issues with corporate culture, is that they're not real. Exactly. Like, they don't act real. Like a real person, when they do something wrong, they try to learn from it and they own up to the fact that they made a mistake. Yeah. Dude, like, there's people out there who don't do that, and those people nobody wants to be around. Like, exactly. So stop acting like that as a corporation, you know? So I think if they came out like this, I think the industry would rally around them, personally. I think we all love BioWare at the end of the day. Whatever this form of BioWare is, I think we love this company, though. Like, I know I do. It's just like
because even people who came in liking Andromeda, they like Andromeda. Like, 'cause that was their first Mass Effect game.
I'm actually, like, looking forward to playing it. You know?
And people legitimately like the game. They like, you know, the writing isn't all that, but, you know,
but that's not all the game is. Yeah, right?
Or they may like the writing, because that's like it's like a new style of writing that a lot of games take. They take that I call it the the Marvel effect, where you have a serious situation, but you throw jokes in and everything like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just the new writing today. And I mean, we did have movies like Batman vs Superman, where everything was serious, and we're like, is it really that serious?
Yeah.
So
Does it need to be that serious?
Exactly. So that's the vibe I got from Anthem. Like, it was a really serious game when it needs to be, but when you're in the Tarsus and you're talking to people were like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, I tried to do this and I got into a bar fight, blah blah blah. It wasn't needed all the time, but anyway. That's where this company's going, it looks like, and I'm for it. They just need to what's the phrase I'm looking for? Like, smooth over their edges or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. They just need to polish it up a little bit. There you go.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. I'm going to jump forward a little bit. So this is something to note. Nothing huge here. Monolith Soft is staffing up for a new Legend of Zelda project. They posted some job postings on their website that mention a Zelda game. This isn't a surprise. They worked on Breath of the Wild. They also worked on Skyward Sword.
I didn't know that.
I said a few weeks ago that they work on a lot of stuff for Nintendo. Like, they do a lot of work for Nintendo. So this isn't super surprising. This does indicate to me, though, that this is probably the next big Zelda game. Like, this is probably whatever the follow-up to Breath of the Wild is. We know it's probably going to be open world, so having them back on board. I don't know what this means, though, in terms of
Zelda.
Are they going to be doing any kind of the primary development for the gameplay? Because I don't think they really did that with Breath of the Wild. They just did mostly world stuff, art stuff, and things like that. So, whatever the case, their involvement, I mean, it's a good thing.
Yep.
They're a good company. What I do want to say, though, I don't think this... Because I remember I said that they have two projects going on right now. One is a Xenoblade-focused game, and one is a new fantasy IP. I don't think...
This is the fantasy IP.
I don't think that... Because it's specifically a new IP, so that would not be Zelda. So I think this is a third team within Monolith Soft doing some stuff. So they got a lot going on over there right now. Okay. Next story is about Sekiro. So this game's a From Software game. From Software games are hard. Some people don't like that. So a number of these articles actually have come out this week, basically advocating for some sort of easy mode or some sort of assist mode or some type of mechanic in this game that would make it a little bit more accessible for people. This comes up every time one of these games comes out. This conversation is well trodden. However, Montrell, I think you have some thoughts.
Not being a gatekeeper when I say this shit. I want everyone to play video games and enjoy them. However, there are certain video games for certain people everywhere, and there are certain mediums and within media are for certain people. Some people like horror books. Some people like mystery books. I don't want to read a mystery book and it has some rom-com drama in it. I'm like, what is this? I don't want to read this. I want to read a dark mystery book. Like, that's what I sign up for.
Yeah.
So, same thing with games. You got games that can appeal to everybody. You got your Call of Duties, Fortnites, Apex Legends games, and things of that nature that kind of appeal to everybody. You got your sports games that appeal to that people. This game doesn't need to be inclusive. Like, some games do not need to be inclusive. Some games do not need to include everyone. And it is what it is. You can't play the game? I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm sorry. You can't play the game. It's just one of those games you can't play.
Well, the game... From Software designs their games, too. They're hard, but they want you to learn from death. That's the whole point of them.
Yes.
Right? And for me...
I'm just being realistic.
I'm kind of 50-50 on this issue because I understand where these people are coming from. Like, would the existence of an easy mode diminish your ability to play the game the way you want? Not really, but at the same time, the existence of an easy mode would mean that vast majority of media would play probably on the easy mode, which would change the core experience for them, and then that changes their impressions of the game from what the game's intended to be played as, right?
And honestly,
and that has ramifications. So,
honestly, like, for easy mode for these type of games, and this really bothers me about articles like this. Easy mode for these type of games, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, the level design and the character and the enemy placement within those levels are very, very, very thought out.
Yeah.
And meticulous. They could probably QA test this stuff.
Dude, these games are like the peak of level design.
Yes.
Right.
Because you need to know what your player's going to do before they do it. And that's why, in my opinion, that's why Dark Souls 2 was like the black sheep of the whole Soulsborne franchise.
Yeah.
Because the level design in that game was terrible. Mm-hmm. But because they didn't account for players coming from behind and things of that nature. So when you ask for easy mode, you're asking for them to design almost a different game.
Yeah.
And that's just not, in my opinion, doable.
Yeah. Well, I think, the argument of this article, too, is saying that, the existence of an easy mode that doesn't require them to make a new game. It's just there. It's just like an option you pick. But to me, it's
Now, if it's a psychological thing, if it's a fake easy mode, I think that would be cool. If they put it,
that'd be so messed up.
Yeah,
dude, that would trigger this. Oh my god! But
if they put the easy mode in there, right, and it does nothing, but they just put it in there, and people are doing better because they think it's an easy mode, then that would prove
that would be a funny experiment.
Yes, I think they should do it one day.
They should try that, dude. That would be funny, man. If that actually You're probably right. That probably would work, man.
I think because
it gives you more confidence.
Exactly.
Right?
I think a lot of players go into these games because they're so intimidated
and they're scared.
And they're scared.
And that affects the way you play.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like if they put the easy mode there, and not developers, but writers and things of that nature, they play these games and they're like, oh man, this is kind of easy. I'm upset that this game is so easy now with the easy mode, and they come out and actually you were playing the normal mode, this is what the game was. Yeah. So it would go twofold where people who did play the easy mode who normally play hard mode.
That's a really cool idea. That fits these games really well, too. I like that a lot. That'd be fun. I think it could end really poorly though. I think if it was, I don't know.
It can, like I said, it's a twofold situation because you got people like me who will play the game. I wouldn't pick easy mode, right?
Of course.
But let's say someone who does normally play the hardest games, and they're like, okay, I'm going to try this easy mode for streaming or whatever. They play it, and they're like, oh man, this game is insanely easy. And it's actually, and then someone's in the chat actually, this is the same exact shit on normal hard mode. Yeah. It could be well, this game was just insanely easy then. But wasn't it insanely easy, or wasn't your confidence that was heightened by it, and you felt like you can do a lot more? And to me, a lot of people won't own up to that. Maybe it was just my confidence that was higher or whatever. Yeah. It could go away because I know how humans are as far as not admitting fault.
Yeah, like we were just talking about. Yeah. We don't like to admit when we're wrong. Or
exactly.
Exactly.
So. But articles like this, I think
they're missing the point. Is that From Software is creating a very specific thing, and despite what they say in these articles, the existence of an easy mode, whether people play it or not, diminishes that thing.
These games are the epitome of art in video games. Yeah. Because you can't tell someone to make a different version of the Mona Lisa. That would diminish the quality of the original Mona Lisa. Funny. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So of course I'm not comparing this to Mona Lisa, but I'm just saying these games are art. These are a team's vision and what the game should be. Yeah. And to tell them, hey, I need an easy mode, is telling them, hey, I need a different version of it.
Yeah, because, dude, this is different from balance being off, right?
Exactly.
The balance in these games isn't off. They're just hard. That's, the point. This isn't your numbers are tuned incorrectly or something like that. That's not what this is. So it's a weird art. It's a weird discussion. And it reminds me of, this isn't, a perfect corollary, but it reminds me of World of Warcraft. Because Blizzard gave in to this kind of thing. And eventually started making features in World of Warcraft that made the game easier and made it more accessible and made raids more accessible for people. And over time, that just diminished the game. And it turned it into something where people wanted the original version of the game again. And guess what?
We're getting the original version of the game.
So I mean, that's the road you're going down. I mean, obviously, this isn't an MMO. It's not like the mechanical things and stuff like that aren't exact corollaries.
I see where you're going with it. Like,
but it diminished World
the quality
of Warcraft,
of the game,
right?
Yeah,
and that eventually drove certain people away, and I think ultimately that's a shame, right?
Yeah,
and so I don't want to see that happen with From, and I'm glad that they kind of have stuck by their guns, because, dude, I remember back when Dark Souls 2 came out, this was a conversation. I remember the developer was saying, or what the director of the game was like, yeah, it might not be a bad thing to add, and guess what? We're like 3 games later, and they still haven't added it. So it just doesn't seem like something they care to add. You know?
Yeah, like the thing with Dark Souls 2 is it wasn't made by the original director, or I forgot his name, Miyazaki. It wasn't made by him.
Yeah.
And they did kind of give in and make it easy mode, because sometimes when you die, enemies don't spawn back in certain places. Yeah, like it was really weird. Yeah. And then they kind of not doubled down on it, but they kind of went back with the Scholar of the First Sin that patched it, that huge update they did, where enemies don't disappear. And it just got to a point where a lot of people noticed the faults in that game, because they did try to accommodate for a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And a lot of people still to this day say that's the worst Dark Souls game ever. Worst Dark Souls born game ever, even out of Demon Souls. And I'm kind of glad they learned from that game. Like, okay, let's not go back in that direction. And articles like this, like you said, they really don't understand the concept of these games. They don't understand why these games are made, who these games are for. Games in the essence teach you how to play it. Yeah. So to me, like the greatest example of game design in early games, which a lot of people don't talk about, is like Mega Man X, the first level. Yeah. It teaches you how to play the game
without saying a word.
To you. Yeah. And I think that was like
and that's what Dark Souls does.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was one of the greatest things about that game, and about Dark Souls as well. It taught you how to play the game without you, because when you finally learn how to play the game, you feel more accomplished than someone saying press A to go here, press X to do this. Yeah. Like,
well, dude, when you walk up to an enemy in a Dark Souls game, like, you don't know how to fight it, you don't know how it's going to attack you, you don't know how fast it is, you don't know how strong it is, you don't know anything about it. In that first fight, sometimes you're going to kill it, but sometimes you're not. You're going to die, and you need. But guess what? You fought the enemy. You understand some of its patterns now, some of its attack tells, and the range of some of its attacks, and how fast it moves, and things like that. You learn that inherently by just playing the game. There's nothing. I think this is what people like lose sight of with Dark Souls and Sekiro and Bloodborne and Neo and all these games. Is like some people are like, man, it's just not fun to die in a video game. It's just like, that's not
the point.
That's like not the actual event of dying in Dark Souls is not the same as dying in other games. It's just not. You have to, like, you're inherently learning something when you get killed in a Dark Souls game. When you're playing, for instance, Kingdom Hearts 3, when you die in Kingdom Hearts 3, it's like, it's just an annoyance. Yeah, like, you're not learning anything from that experience, right? Like, so you whether you're conscious of it or not, you're taking things in when you die in Dark Souls. Yeah. You know, and I think that's where, like, they lose sight of it. Is like, you shouldn't look at a death as an unfun thing. It's something that, like, okay, what have I learned? How can I apply that to beat this enemy now? You know? Yeah. And yes, sometimes it sucks where you get through an entire section of a level and you're on the final enemy and you die and you have to go through a whole 30-minute segment again. Yeah, that sucks, but, you know, it's like...
That's the kind of game you signed up for.
That's kind of the game, though, you know? So... I mean, Mario was like that back in the day.
They didn't have any save points.
Yeah, there were no save points. Like, you played Mario, right? You like Mario. Like, everybody loves Mario. It's like, those games were hard. They were mean. Like... They didn't, like...
It's the same thing with, like, the Monster Hunter games. Those games, they don't teach you... They teach you the bare basics. Like, but after that, they don't teach you, like, when to dodge this monster, when to hit this monster here. They don't give you any cues or anything. You have to learn by... How you said, reading the enemy's patterns and learning also which weapon can go against that enemy faster or better.
Yeah, and also, dude, that game's a great example because you can fight a monster for 50 minutes and
still fail. Not beat it.
Yeah, and you fail, and guess what? You don't get anything. The game doesn't give you anything. Like, it might give you a couple materials, but it's like, whoop-de-doo. That's It's not a consolation prize. It's like you just wasted 50 minutes, like literally.
And people might not think that's fun, but you learn.
But take something out of it, right? Like, don't look at it so negatively.
Like you learn, like, okay, well, maybe I need to get better gear now, or maybe I need to farm some more monsters.
Let me try this weapon instead, or
maybe try the traps or something like that. Like, you have options, and each game, like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, all those games, Monster Hunter, they give you options, and it's just up to you to find the options. So that's why an easy mode kind of hinders what these games teach you.
Well, then the game becomes... I just don't understand what the point of Dark Souls would be if the game was easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, what are you taking out of the experience? You're like swinging a sword and killing things. I mean, is that riveting gameplay? Not really. That's what I feel about Kingdom Hearts 3, right? It's like, the game's so easy, I'm just mashing the X button and, like, triangle. It's like, okay, cool. And there's no story in these games, generally, so it's like... They have to focus on the gameplay. Like the gameplay is the selling point.
People need to understand the difference between like options and options. Yeah. Like, people are like, oh, well, you can make the gameplay harder, but not mashing a triangle. The option is there. I'm going to use the option.
That's bad design, though.
Exactly.
That's terrible design. Like, that's not an I hate it when people do that with games, dude. That drives me up a wall. Like, dude, you don't, like, being like, let me just ignore a major feature of the gameplay to make the game harder. That's not what the designers intended.
Exactly.
Like, that's definitely not what they intended. They didn't put attractions in Kingdom Hearts 3 so nobody would use them. Like, what world are you living in? Like, so that argument's dumb. It's like, and I did that in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm still mindlessly mashing X. I died like maybe one time in the entire game. Like, on Proud, it's like, come on, dude. But, so whatever.
Then to counter that, or not to counter that, but like to just piggyback off that, like in Dark Souls 1, magic was like superior. Like, if you became a magic user, you can blow through stuff. But it was the option there. But to get to that option, you had to build a magic character. I couldn't just turn my warrior.
It took effort.
I couldn't just turn my warrior character or dexterity character into a mage instantaneously. I had to build towards that respect, and to respect in Dark Souls is crazy. So. But in Kingdom Hearts, my attraction's there. That was an option for any build I had. If I would physical or magic, that was my option. So that's the difference. But I'm done ranting about that.
Okay. All right. Well, moving on to our final story. This is probably our pseudo topic of the show, I guess. So PAX East happened, and the Borderlands reveal happened.
Oh my god.
The event itself apparently was a disaster. The videos were barely playing. They were running at like 5 frames a second.
Yes, I thought it was my YouTube.
It was awful, apparently, but I didn't really watch it. I watched all the trailers after the fact on YouTube, and they played fine. It was just the event. The event, whatever they were using at the event, was poor equipment, I guess. So I kind of feel bad for Gearbox in that sense.
I mean, they got a good attitude. When I watched it for the first like 45 minutes because it was on my lunch. You can keep talking.
Yeah. Bless you.
Sorry about that, y'all. But
continue.
It was actually, you know what? I'll give it to Randy Pitchford. He has a nice, charismatic attitude on stage. He's a good.
Didn't he take like 15 minutes to do a magic trick?
Now that the part I was gonna get to.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my god.
But he has a nice, charismatic attitude on stage. He seems like a really cool dude if you're on his team.
Yeah.
But he is one of those people, as we know from previous experience, that he doesn't like to admit when he's wrong. But
that, and I think he's kind of a little into himself.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too. But yeah, on stage, he did have this awkward moment where they were trying to announce their Borderlands board game.
Yeah,
which is not like a D&D style board game. It's just like an actual, like, I don't know, family style board game. Yeah,
isn't it this Tiny Tina's Robot Tea Party thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did a magic trick for about 15 minutes, and it wasn't all that interesting. So,
yeah. So he announced, or they announced rather, a few things. Borderlands Handsome Collection. They're going to be getting 4K updates on Xbox One, PC, and PS4. And they announced, which this has been rumored as well, Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, the original Borderlands, is going to be coming on April 3rd on PC, PS4, Xbox One. This is the first time that the original Borderlands is going to be on PS4, Xbox One. It's coming with all the DLC, and I kind of want to play it. I never.
I know you do.
I have, dude. The thing is, I played the original Borderlands for about 2 hours. I've never really sat down and played it. I don't really want to play it by myself. I kind of want to play with other people. So it's like, I want to play it. It just depends on the price. Like, they didn't announce the price here, so if it's like $40 or $50, I don't want to play it. I'm not buying it at that price.
Yeah.
But if it's like $20 or $30, then yeah, it's kind of a maybe for me. I mean, dude, I love Borderlands, so I don't know. It's a series I think we should play together, because I don't. I played it with my brother. Played Borderlands 2 with my brother a bit. But I'd love to play it with like 4 people, and really see what the whole co-op experience was, because we didn't get that far either. We only got to like level 50. So, but given that, they also announced Borderlands 3, which is what we thought was coming from this. The trailer was 4 minutes. I gotta say, my initial reaction to it was that they need to get their heads out of their asses. That they're really like they're extremely self-aware of how much people like Borderlands, and I feel like they were really playing that up with this trailer, because the trailer had like no. It was literally 4 minutes of just montages of scenes and environments, and there was no indication of what the story was. Like, well, when you slow it down and break it down, you can get some story snippets, but there was like no dialogue at all. It was just literally just a bunch of stuff happening. Like, so I did watch some trailer breakdowns, however, and a lot was actually in this trailer. There's a lot of shit we can peel out of this trailer. I don't know. Did you watch the trailer, right?
I watched it, and then I couldn't watch all of it.
Okay, but you haven't seen any like breakdowns or anything?
No, I haven't seen any breakdowns of it.
So, well, you saw the like twins, the boy and the girl, right?
Yeah.
They seem to be the primary villains of the game, or at least they're presented that way. There may be people beyond them that are the villains of this game.
Yeah.
But it seems like the boy might have the ability to siphon siren powers. Because there's a scene in the trailer where Lilith is on the ground, like crawling towards a vault key.
Yeah.
And her tattoos are gone. Yeah. And he's sitting there, and he's got these like siren tattoos on his arm. And they're like red and like glowing and stuff. So they actually seem like they could be cool villains for this game. I think the primary thing, though, that I've taken out of this is when I was really watching the breakdown, it confirmed to me that it seems like they're going in the direction I want. Maybe not all the way, but what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, if you thought it was going to be a live service game,
you don't think it's going to be live service?
Based on this trailer, I really doubt it.
Okay,
it
cool.
doesn't seem like it, because
I'm wrong.
There's a lot of story shit in this trailer that nobody says anything, but you can see a lot of scenes.
Okay.
That look like they're story scenes, not gameplay. So,
and they have 4 characters. Like,
yes.
They'll have 4. It's not like a created character thing, right?
No.
Okay,
no,
cool.
No. It's
cool.
4 new Vault Hunters, it looks like.
All right, cool.
They look pretty cool. I like their designs. There's a siren, there's an assassin, there's a Beastmaster character who's the robot or whatever, and then there's a new soldier. I like their designs. They look cool. We don't know anything about them. We don't know what their skills really are necessarily. You can kind of glean certain things out of them. The soldier looks like she has like a mech that she can summon and get into and stuff. The Beastmaster looks like he has like pets, similar to like the Necromancer in Borderlands 2.
Okay.
And then there's the assassin. We didn't really get an indication of what he does. But the siren has these like fucking arms that she summons behind her that like she looks like Shiva, the Indian goddess or whatever. Yeah. And they're like projections, and she can use them to like attack people and like grab people and stuff. So she looks pretty cool. They all look pretty cool, but dude, there was so many returning characters in this trailer from all the games. Borderlands 1, 2, 3, pre-sequel, and Tales from the Borderlands as well. All those games were represented here. and that is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So that excites me as well. It seems like
I'm just glad they're not going not to cut you off, but the live service route.
Yeah,
I was really scared they were going to do that.
It didn't make sense for them to do it. Like, if you're an idiot and you're just chasing trends the way EA Activision does sometimes, yeah, you would have made Borderlands a live service game. But why would you give up the market that Borderlands has? Borderlands has a niche that, like, literally no other game has. Like, it is a first-person shooter ARPG that is incredibly story-focused, that is a well-functional co-op game in the vein of Diablo or Grim Dawn or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a first-person shooter. Why would you give that up to make a live service version of that game, in place of Borderlands 3, right? Like, why would you do that? That doesn't make, like, any sense. Because you're going into a market that is heavily saturated, highly competitive, with tons of established franchises already there. Like, why would you dive into that market? This makes way more sense, what they're doing here. So, I don't know. That's my thoughts on it.
I will, you know what? I will play through the Borderlands games with you. No, like
it sounded like you're asking me on a date, dude. Like,
no, yeah, I am. You know what? Let's have a Borderlands date,
dude.
But, yeah, I will play through them because I had Borderlands 1 or 2. I can't remember which one I had, but I didn't have anyone to play with. Mm-hmm. It was kind of late when I bought it, so the wave kind of already passed.
They're awkward by yourself too.
Yeah,
they don't play super. Like Borderlands 2, when you get the right build with the right character with the right gear, the game plays really well solo. But absent those things, it can be really awkward and frustrating at times.
Yeah,
and I think it's the co-op fixes a lot of that.
Yeah, and I tried to play with randos and stuff like that because they had like a matchmaking function on it. It didn't really hit really well, so I put it down. But
yeah,
I mean, it sounds like it has a lot of story elements to it, and I like that. So I do want to play through all of them. I don't want to play.
Wait, so you've never really played through them?
No, I just saw people play them.
Oh my god,
yeah,
man, dude, Borderlands 2 is an amazing game. Like, I have personal feelings on it. It's a very frustrating game. The balance in the late game, in the significant back portions of the game, super frustrating. Can be really unfair. Like as I was saying, you have to have really perfectly made builds. Like, you cannot deviate from certain builds with certain characters.
Okay.
If you want to actually be effective at killing things. And that's really frustrating when you're playing solo. But overall, though, dude, the story is, like, so fun. Like, the villain in Borderlands 2 is, like, one of the best villains I've ever experienced in a video game. Like, he is ever-present. He's mean. He's self-important. But he's also cunning and, like, does a lot of things that are surprising, in the games. And he's threatening, though, too. Like, really threatening.
Okay.
So, he's just a really good villain. And I don't know about Borderlands. Like, Borderlands 1 doesn't really have a story that much. So, I don't know if it's necessary for us to play it. Like, personally, I think we could just jump into the Handsome Collection and, like, play that.
Okay.
Borderlands 1 is really for my own morbid curiosity that, like, I just want to know what it's all about, because a lot of people swear by that game, but it's very different from Borderlands 2. Like, Borderlands 2 really refined the gameplay, whereas Borderlands 1 was like rough, like a really rough first-person shooter that didn't really play very well as a shooter. Borderlands 2 became like a full-on first-person shooter where guns felt right, and it felt like a shooter. Like, it's hard to explain it, I guess, but
yeah, I played Borderlands up to like level 34 or 5. I can't remember, but
Borderlands 1?
Borderlands 2.
2, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would have been enough to beat the game.
Really?
Yeah, you beat the game around level 30, 35.
I feel like I didn't touch the end game. Maybe it was like level 20 then.
Well, it wouldn't be end game. It's like an ARPG. You have to play through the game like 3 times to get to max level. Yeah,
I had 0, so that's Borderlands 2, right?
Yeah.
I played through as 0, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, but, I mean, otherwise with this announcement, like...
Actually, you know what? One game I am looking for, I want to play, is that, is it called Let It Rain? Make It Rain? Something Rain?
Never heard of it.
It was announced during their Gearbox presentation. You keep talking. I'm looking for it.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. But yeah, I think the another thing that came out of this too is that they announced that there's going to be another presentation, or not presentation, I don't know, some kind of announcement on April 3rd. And Randy Pitchford did say on Twitter that it's going to announce the release date for the game.
Okay.
So to me, this indicates, and I kind of thought this going into this presentation, but I think this game's coming out this year.
Probably.
People are already speculating that the trailer kind of told us what the release date was. I already felt this way, but yeah, it supposedly shows the numbers 1 and 10 or something like that, which would be October 1st.
Ah, okay. I was thinking about January.
Well, it could, yeah. 10. In the U.S. it would be January, but in Europe they do it the opposite. They do the opposite way, yeah. Even though Gearbox is a Texas studio, I don't know. I didn't read up exactly what the theories were because I don't need to. I believe this game is coming out in September or October. Okay. Regardless of this theory. I feel like it was coming out in September or October anyways. Yeah. So the fact that they're announcing the release date next week kind of indicates to me that this game is fairly imminent to me. So
yeah, I mean, it looks like it's more polished. Like it has a more polished trailer than a lot of other games. So yeah, I think this was just to announce it, and then probably at E3 or something like that, they're going to announce the release date of it. Mm-hmm. The game I was talking about though was Risk of Rain 2. Yeah. That indie game that they announced that had like a 2D side-scrolling thing for the first game, but the second game is full 3D, like a co-op game. Okay, it looks really fun. It's like a co-op ARPG game. Yeah, well,
this was like an hour and a half. This presentation, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So did they announce a bunch of other games at this?
They announced Bulletstorm for the Switch. Okay. They announced some other games that they're bringing over. A lot of stuff I really didn't care for.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean they are They're owned by 2K Games, but
they're trying to become a publisher.
They
now.
actually publish stuff too, though. Yeah. So,
so yeah, I didn't know they had a lot of partnerships. They're talking about their partnerships, with We Happy Few and Hello Neighbor. Yeah. Oh, and they're also making this game by the people who made Rick and Morty.
Okay. They're making a Rick and Morty game?
No. It's the people who made Rick and Morty are making this game. Oh, okay. So the creator himself,
Dan
Harmon? He actually wrote the characters and the story for this game. And actually the voice actors for Rick and Morty are, I think one's for the main character and maybe the other one's for the villain. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. But those are the same voice actors. Okay. So yeah, they're making that game. It looks like it can be played in a VR as well, but it looks like it's like an action type game, but not like a Devil May Cry action game. It looks like an action game, or maybe like an RPG action game or something like that. Open world a little bit from what I saw. So I mean, it looks cool. I mean, the banter between the characters are standard Rick and Morty ish. So it was pretty funny. It looks like it's going to be a pretty cool game, and the art style is Rick and Morty style as well. So that's going to be cool. But yeah, I was really looking forward to that game, Risk of Rain. You can get it now on Steam. It's an early access. You can get it now, and if you get the game on Steam, well, yeah, it's on Steam, I think exclusively. But if you get it now, it's for $19, and say if I buy it, I get a guest pass, so I can give it to you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn. Cool.
So they really want people to play this game, and I heard some good things about it so far.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, honestly, dude, I didn't hear anything else about this conference besides the Borderlands stuff. That's why I was, wondering why it was so long, because I was like, dude, you announced 2 Borderlands games and a update. It was so I figured they had other stuff, but it's just been overshadowed by this Borderlands 3 announcement.
Yeah, it was.
That I haven't really seen a lot of reporting about it. So, but yeah, man, the fact that you haven't played Borderlands 2, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, I played it. It's just I didn't finish it.
Do you have a memory of it though, or do you forget most of it?
I forgot most of it. I remember I got to one of the main cities.
Okay.
And that's primarily
you must not have played it very long, dude.
I hadn't. I don't think I did. I tried to play it because my cousin really wanted me to play it.
Yeah, no, dude. Oh man, that kind of excites me actually, because dude, there's so much content in this game. Like,
I do remember like the enemies and how crazy they were.
Yeah,
I remember liking that stuff. And when we were playing the Division, like I was like, yeah, these enemies remind me of people with like the Borderlands enemies. But
they were trying so hard to mimic Borderlands with the Division enemies. Like the people who run at you who are just like, like it's like, bro, like, why are you so crazy? Like, it's just, there's no reason for you to be as crazy as you are.
I see you, Agent. I see you, Agent.
I see you, Agent.
Man, I wish we were streaming that, because that shit was hilarious.
Dude. It's just it is really funny. It's very, very funny.
I know you guys you probably heard us say that for like 2 weeks now, but it was a situation.
It's clearly our favorite part of the game.
It was a situation. It was a situation where it was extremely quiet. We thought we got rid of all the enemies, and this one. We come from cover. This one guy just yells, "I see you, Agent!" Like we were hiding from him intentionally or something. It was hilarious.
Well, that excites me because I don't know. Playing through Borderlands 2 with a group of people, like that sounds like a lot.
Jet never played it before.
No, so. He hasn't played. He has it though. He has it on PS4, so we might have a little party here.
Yeah.
So that's on the docket for us. We want to get you into Grim Dawn as well.
Yeah.
I really want you to play that game too. So man, we got a lot of co-op stuff on the docket, and this game, man, I'm excited to play this game. I can't wait. Oh man. Crap. Love Borderlands. Well, I think that's it for us. Right?
Yeah, no topic.
That's going to be it for us this week. If you enjoyed the episode, we appreciate you staying this long. If you did really like the episode, please like it, subscribe, as I said earlier, review it, share it with your friends. If you would like to interact with us on Twitter, Montrell is at iTrap4 the Hokage. That is the number 4, not the word. I am at Thundernut01, and the podcast is at The Player's Take. If you have a question for us, a comment, or something along those lines, you can send it to us at theplayerstake01@gmail.com, and we will absolutely answer your question. Please send us a question. I want to read a question on the show. So that's going to be it. Next week, I think we'll probably be doing our Division review, more than likely, unless something crazy happens. That'll probably be the topic of the show next week. So, look forward to that. We appreciate you listening, and we will see you on the next one. All right? Bye, guys.
All right, see you.